Please welcome the writers of The Big Bang Theory, Steve Holland, Stephen Milaro, Bill Prady, Dave Getch, Eric Kaplan, Maria Ferrari, Andy Gordon, Tara Hernandez, Jeremy Howe, and Adam Faberman. And please welcome our special guest moderator. He's new to the Big Bang Theory family, but his character's been around from the very beginning. Please welcome Jerry O'Connell. Woo!
Woo! What is up, Ballroom 20? Here it is. It's a lot different when I came for Sliders 20 years ago. We were in one of those pedicabs outside. That was about it. Who slept in a tent last night for this?
No.
You did? Okay, sir. We're gonna get you a shower. I got a room right next door. Guys, everybody, congratulations. Round of applause for these people. These are the ones who do it every week. Woo! The greatest homage to all of us here at Comic-Con every week. We love you guys. Season 11 had births, had weddings, had huge guest stars. Huge. For those who don't know, I played Sheldon's brother, George. Tell us some of your favorite moments.
I mean, it's hard to top having you on the show, obviously.
Come on.
But a few things did, and we'll talk about them. I mean, it was such a great season. The wedding finale, I think we're all super proud of. But for me, getting to meet Mark Hamill and have him come on the show and work with him was amazing. It was literally a dream. I've been such a huge Star Wars fan, and so when we first went out to Mark and asked him if he'd be interested, we didn't have a script at the time, and he was a little hesitant to commit to something without a script. So he's like, what can we get on the phone and talk to you? So Chuck, Lori, and I got on the phone and we talked to Mark, and he's like, I'm not sure. Here's the thing. What if I came? Do you think the writers would be okay if I came and just sat in the room with him and talked for a while and got a feel for it? I was like, yes, Mark Hamill. I think we can make room for that in our schedule.
So there's a moment, and Mark Hamill's in our writer's room, and we're all trying to play it cool. And when you're sitting 3 feet away from Luke Skywalker, I recommend you take out your phone and pretend to check your email and take a picture of it. So while this is really a picture of Eric's coffee cup that Mark Hamill happens to be in, I want to point out the loving look that Maria Ferrari is giving to Mark Hamill. It's a look that in my entire life, I'm still waiting to see what that feels like. And I'm married. I was on an altar with my wife, and it didn't even look like that.
I didn't hear a word of that meeting. I spent the whole time thinking, I bet if I reached out, I could touch him. And I bet they would be mad.
But it was very controlled of you not to reach out and touch him. You did a good job.
Maria's husband, John, is out here somewhere.
She kind of loves you too, don't worry.
When he was coming for that meeting the first time, he was going to come and meet in my office first, and I had this panic attack because I realized, I have a lot of Star Wars stuff in my office. Is that going to freak him out? And so I went in this spiral of talking to the writers, is it too much? Is it too much? Should I take some things out of my office? So I think we settled on, if I removed the giant inflatable Death Star and all the lightsabers, then everything else would be cool.
He was so great. I mean, everyone, including me, I brought my Abulita to come meet him on set. And he was so gracious with everybody. He took a moment and talked to everybody. He really, he uses that power so well and so kindly. He's just a really special person. He really is.
They say don't meet your heroes, but if your hero is Mark Hamill, ignore that advice. You should be it.
I think we were all surprised at how funny he was on the show, too, because we didn't know what we were getting, and he delivered. He was great.
Yeah.
The show has progressed so much over the years. A lot of the characters are married now. We had a huge wedding this season. Even Stuart, as you saw, has a girlfriend, a potential girlfriend. What is it like with those relationships and just
Well, they're not all married. Kunal's character, Rajesh, remains single. The last single man, I think, on the show.
Sure. Well, Raj, I mean, do you think that maybe it's time Raj maybe tied the knot? I mean, found someone?
I think you should ask him.
Okay, I guess I'll just have to say something. Hi. Hello. Hello. Jerry's pretending he didn't know I was going to do this. This is funny.
That's what a good actor he is.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Wow. It really never gets old coming here. You have no idea how much it warms our heart to be here every time we can. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you. What was the question?
First of all, now would be a great time to announce the after party for this is going to be in Kunal and I's hotel room right next door. Come on by.
I like in that story you guys are rooming together.
Yeah,
right?
no.
Exactly.
We got a rate. Kunal, how do you feel about being the only single one standing?
I like it. It leaves room for a spin-off. Except it'll be like not young Sheldon, it'll be like old and fat Raj.
So you already got a title.
Yeah, exactly.
That's halfway
Old
there.
and fat Raj. That's
But I remember when we were doing the table read for the finale, and Stuart's character, has a date to thing, and you came up, and you're like, even Stuart? Really? Even Stuart?
I know.
has a date?"
That's okay. I enjoy it. I enjoy being the single guy. Seriously, it's really fun. It's you get to explore different aspects and have many potential guest stars, No. Wow, that sounded way creepier than I thought it was going to.
It's the word explore that.
Yeah, it's this damn mustache.
turn
Everything
on.
I say sounds disgusting.
I'm sorry, what is the name of that facial hair?
Oh, sorry. Mustache?
No, it's a mustache.
Yeah, mustache.
Speaking of Kunal's hair, this is what we
when
talk
are-
about all
Okay.
the time. By the way, 100% real, everyone. I'm touching it and looking at it here. Your hair was curly this season.
Yes.
What the what?
You know what? This is a good question I've always wanted to ask you guys. Why was it straight in the first place? I mean, I get now because he was, but seriously, we made that.
I'd assumed that it was straight in real life and that you just curled it when you were out in the world, but that's not true.
Oh, okay. No, seriously, I have no idea why for 10 seasons Roger's hair was straight.
this goes back to, it was straightened for the pilot, wasn't it?
I was wearing a hat in the pilot.
The hat in the pilot. So the first season,
The first season, you're right, it was curly the first season.
was it, or was it, I don't know. There's not,
I don't know. I think we switched hair people for the second season, and then they just decided to flat iron it.
That-
We may have lost the joke, but we had talked about in the room that Raj straightened his hair because the first person he met in America was Howard.
Yeah.
And Howard's the coolest guy.
We still have that joke.
he
I think
knew.
that aired.
That was the bounce house when
Yeah.
we fought,
Yeah.
right? Because he was ribbing me so much.
Yes.
So I decided to go back to getting my hair curly again.
But-
Which is a great blessing because, to be honest, flat ironing your hair for 30 minutes before every taping is not fun.
But I remember in that Bounce House episode, because you and Simon were in a fight in the show, and you're supposed to shove each other down and bounce each other back up, and we were talking about having stunt people come in and do it, and you're like, no, we can do this. You guys spend some extra time bouncing, I guess, on off hours
Yep.
to work it
We
out.
couldn't walk for 3 days after, but it was really fun.
Man, it was such an honor for me to be there for that wedding.
How amazing
episode.
is Jerry O'Connell, by the way?
Listen, now, come on.
Obsessed. Obsessed.
It was such an honor to be invited to that wedding. And I have to say, I mean, I got really misty-eyed sitting in that crowd. I mean, it was really emotional. And the food was amazing. But talk to us about like decisions you make, like the wedding dress, choosing the perfect wedding dress. How do we come to that?
Well, I mean, we spent actually a lot of time talking about the wedding dress and trying to find the perfect wedding dress. But I guess if we're gonna talk about the wedding dress, we probably need to talk to the woman who got to wear the wedding dress. Is that
everybody. It's just in the neighborhood. Thought I'd stop by.
That's it for
And you brought
surprises,
your own
guys.
name
Soon.
tag.
Mayim, welcome.
Thank you.
Rocking your Spy versus Spy shirt.
This is my Comic-Con shirt from many years ago.
Your Bazinga pin, and of course the Mr. Bill pin.
Bill. Yep, Mr. Bill. And a DC Universe button.
Take that from me.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I do have to mention, it is amazing going to your set. Everyone wears DC Universe shirts all the time. It's incredible. Mayim, tell us about the wedding episode, picking the dress, your emotions. Tell us all.
Well, let's see. I mean, I think that there was a lot of particular thought that went into it on the part of all of these wonderful people. Kunal excluded. He's different and wonderful. But I mean, in terms of what the dress should look like and kind of what that should be, when I went for the fitting, for our first wedding dress fitting, Mary Quigley, basically said, like, here are some ideas, and let's just try on a bunch of different dresses. So we actually had an episode where I was trying on dresses, and we got to see a little more of my body than we ended up showing with the wedding dress. But I think that the idea was, we wanted this character to really get to have a dress that embodied all of her dreams and all of her wishes. And why pick one dream and wish when you can put all of them into one dress? So there was a ribbon and a capelet, and there was like a hoop skirt and also gloves, but don't forget the tiara. Like, it was every single thing one could want, and she chose them all.
I remember when we were talking about it, because we obviously had lots of discussions about it, because the first episode where you try it on and the girls don't like it, we wanted to have a dress that was outrageous enough that they could believably not like it and not seem like monsters, and we were a little worried that if the dress was that silly looking, would it be silly at the wedding? We didn't want you to look silly at the wedding.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I remember talking to you about it, and you were like, you know what? If Amy loves this wedding dress, it's not going to look goofy. Like, if Amy's happy in this wedding dress and she loves it, I promise it's not going to look silly.
Yeah, and I appreciated that sensitivity. And, it's something Jim and I talk about too, because when we did that episode, I believe him that he thinks she really looks, beautiful and like a pile of swans, which is a good thing. So yeah, I really felt, and I think this is part of our responsibility as our characters, to take the words and the intentions that you have and to make them as true as you believe them to be. These are, I always say, if you love us, it's because you love these people,
Yeah, come on.
That's true.
Don't do the contrapositive. Don't decide you don't love us and decide you don't love them.
It was really amazing being at that wedding, because when Amy and Sheldon were exchanging vows, I have a question for all of you. For those who are married, did you write your own vows, and were they as moving as the ones that we saw on the show?
I think that's a question that should be answered by the cast of Hamilton.
Dave, guys, love that.
I'm sorry, would you be willing to write some of our vows if we get in touch with you through Twitter?
It's a lot more comfortable to write words for someone else to say than words you yourself have to say, so sure.
It was really fun for us to shoot that scene, because watching Mayim and Jim do that scene, especially when the coverage was on them, in a way, for us as actors, we became fans of that moment. And that's a true testament to the show that we've grown to love, that even we are fans of it. And I'll admit, I watch reruns of The Big Bang Theory. I hate watching myself, okay? I hate watching myself. Like, just how we all hate looking at photographs of ourselves, it's like that, except it's 5 times a day. And but it's like, watching that scene, I can at least speak for myself, was like being a fan of The Big Bang Theory, watching these guys do that magic. It was really beautiful.
Was it, I was about to say Amy, I'm so sorry. I'll get my fan hat off.
Mayimbialik.
Mayim, was it... Amy has been with Sheldon for years now. Was it what you envisioned? Was it everything and more? Was it...
I mean, honestly, I think that I definitely could have understood them not getting married in season 11, meaning there were so many, there are so many amazing things that happened in season 11, and we started season 11 with sort of a reunion, for Amy and Sheldon, and sort of a building back up of this relationship. So I think that, having all of those guest stars, and also for our amazing director, Mark Sandrowski, to get an Emmy nomination for that episode.
He's here.
He is here.
He's here.
Yeah.
So to kind of add to the intensity of that episode, to have all these people, and just technically, I mean, as Kunal said, it was a really, really difficult show to shoot because we don't usually film in those kinds of ways, and there were so many people, and for a multicam show, it's so unusual. So I think that all of that gets added into what we do as actors. It's not simply the words and simply the blocking, it's everything else that's going on. So when I said those vows, I was saying them in front of people that I love and care for as me, and also as this character. So all of that richness gets added in. So I guess the wedding was, more than I ever, definitely more than the sum of its parts.
We actually have some audience member questions, so go ahead and line up, and we'll get to you in a second. We were just talking about all the guests that were at the wedding. Kathy Bates plays your mom. How did we get her? Tell us how Teller came in.
It was funny, and we get asked a lot, like, you got Teller to speak. He had a line. How did you do that? And it was like, well, we just asked him. It wasn't like a magic trick that we had to do on him. Like, he didn't know he was speaking, but it was pretty exciting.
He's a fan. He's a big fan of the show.
Yeah, he's a fan of the show. He'd been before to some tapings, I think.
Yeah.
How did you get Kathy Bates? That was awesome.
I think our casting people had suggested Kathy, and Chuck Lorre had a relationship with her because he had done Disjointed with her, so he contacted her.
I guess that's a question I should have asked you privately, because it didn't turn out that interesting in real life.
I drove to her house and I held a boombox
thank you.
Over my head, and I wouldn't leave.
Let's get some audience questions. I think we're lined up there on the left.
Well, as a mother,
I'm a wife, and I'm a mother, and I have a job, and those things are so important to me. And one of my favorite things about the show has been the chance to talk about some of those issues through Bernadette, and we've gotten to do pregnancy and work anxiety and parenting anxiety, and I hope we will continue that, because those are things that mean a lot to me.
Wow.
Take us through, like, Big Bang. It's written different than other shows are written. Take us through a process of writing an episode.
That's you.
We tend to write everything as one big group, so it's a lot like this, but less of you there in the room, and we start with, a story idea, and honestly, a lot of the story ideas we generate from things that happen in our lives. It almost becomes a big therapy session where we just talk about our lives a lot, things that have happened, and we try to draw from that. Like, I know the Bill Gates episode, where Leonard meets Bill Gates and had a breakdown in front of him, comes from something that happened to Tara.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, yes. So you guys saw in the clip package when Leonard sees Bill Gates, he just bursts into tears on him. So that had come from an experience I had a lot of years ago, where I was in an airport and I see Donny Osmond, and I just get this moment of confidence where I'm like, I'm gonna talk to him, I'm gonna play it cool, I'm a big fan. So I walk over there and I get out, Mr. Osmond, and I just, like, grown woman tears, just sob all over him. And he was the nicest, like, he was so sweet about it. So hopefully all of you guys get to meet people you're really excited about this weekend. My advice is bring your own tissues.
That's cute.
So we'll start with something like that. We start generating a story and figuring out, what we think the beats of the story could be, and we write them on these big whiteboards around the room. And then we just start writing. Like once we figure out the story and have the scenes, we pull it up on scripts on monitors, and we sit around the room and we start pitching. So we spend a lot of time with each other,
which is different than how other shows do it. They usually come up with the story and then send a writer out. But this is the first show I had worked on where everyone worked beginning to end of the script together in a room.
And again, to sort of keep it, we try to pull as much from real life as we can. We try to pull as much from what's really going on in science as we can. I'm sure there's other stories from real life that is made into that. I know one of the, I didn't ask permission from my son to tell this story, but I will anyway. There's this where when Sheldon confesses to Howard that he has a driver's license this season, and Howard says, "Why don't you drive?" Sheldon's story about how the first time he drove, it went really badly. My son had gotten his license. He turned 16, got from his license, and he was like, wanted to go driving on his own for the first time, and so he drove up the street to the store, and he ended up hitting a car in the parking lot, taking a wrong turn on the way home, getting lost, and having to call someone to come get him. So that story wound its way into Sheldon's story of the first time he drove.
He's here. Should we have him stand
up?
up?
He's here.
Stand up.
If Steve's son becomes a writer someday, I think there may be a story about someone going to Comic-Con with his dad and having the story of his driving shared with 5,000 strangers.
And also the naming episode, right? With
Sure.
The baby names and Sheldon pitching all those crazy names. That's a superpower Eric Kaplan has.
That came right from the room when Maria was pregnant. Eric spent a lot of time trying to offer up name suggestions, and we sort of lifted that conversation and put it in the show.
Eric, what were some of your name suggestions for Maria's baby?
Well, the actual name of Maria's baby is amyfarrahfowler. And I think the baby was named Ivy, but I think that's not really the baby's name. And at some point, Ivy will be taken to the forest with the other writers and told, "You have a true name." It's not Ivy, it's okay, but it's not as good as your true name, amyfarrahfowler.
Which I think is a superpower you developed from your decades of D&D.
Decades of DMing, yeah.
So that's very, if anyone out there wants Eric to name their baby, he'll do it right now, but you have to agree that's their name.
I'll name your baby or I'll name you.
And right in front, Eric.
Kenotis. Kenotis, Wonder Woman shirt. Will you go by the name Kenotis? Well, traditional spelling. Kanotis. Kenotis. A big hand for Kenotis.
Do I get to answer that?
Go for it.
On a very special
and a mother.
Big Bang Theory.
No, I'm curious how one of you would answer. I don't think she meant something complicated and tragic. I think she meant like something interesting and worth turning your child into a science experiment for.
Oh, then yes.
Let me try and simplify. Is there a possibility of a shamy, Sheldon Amy, that's what I refer to them as, a shamy baby. A shamy baby.
With a brain condition.
Let's take the brain condition part out for now. We'll revisit that in a second. Is there a possibility of a shamy...
What if they want to surprise me and not tell me right now?
That's true.
I don't know the answer
We want to surprise her until the delivery. I think we don't even want you to know before then. You'll just wonder why you're in your wardrobe every week, and then we're gonna...
They've already written like 3 or 4 episodes that we have no idea.
Right now, for this part of the season, there is no plans for them.
Okay, it would be cool though, and I'm not promising this because it might not happen. If the baby was born able to sing and dance,
That would be cool.
What would be a good name for the baby?
Gravizanetam.
All right, we have another question. Let's see if you can top those last 2.
I think Penny has achieved some success in her pharmaceuticals, and I think she's happier now that she's having some professional success. So it's hard. Again, we don't actually have a grand plan for the season. Like, we work in smaller chunks from episode to episode. So, you know, it's possible if we came up with a great story, but I feel like we've done that with her character once before, where she had broken away from acting and wanted to go back. So right now, there's no plans to have her go back to acting.
So we started the first year that we came to Comic-Con. This is our 11th year here at Comic-Con. The first year we talked about whether or not we could shoot at Comic-Con. And so Big Bang Theory is a 4-camera show. We shoot on a stage with a live audience. And it's really hard for us to shoot on location. We've gone out on location 3 times, maybe total.
If that, yeah.
If that. And we just couldn't figure out how to do it. We couldn't figure out how to get here and bring the stuff. And
Now, I will tell you, we know that there is a flag convention that I still think Amy and Sheldon should go to and be
agree.
rock stars at.
That's amazing.
Would you accept metaphysically or philosophically that they are at this Comic-Con now, but in real life they look different? Yeah, right?
Also, you know, you're right. We may not be able to go and shoot in Comic-Con, but we could bring Comic-Con to Warner Brothers Studios and shoot there. Right? We could recreate it.
First, we've got old fat Raj. We already talked about this. And young Leonard,
You guys would watch that show. You guys would watch Raj eating a cheeseburger any day.
Well, first of all, I don't know if they said it in the introduction, but Steve Milaro here, longtime short of Big Bang Theory, is the co-creator of Young Sheldon.
Young Leonard.
or just do a mean no.
No. That's his
I can't. He's too nice.
All right, we're going to do
We'll
it for
think
you.
about
For
it.
you
How
guys,
about
we're going to do it.
Good.
This mustache is so intense right now. I don't know. Where do I even start? Like, what do you guys think? Have you guys any ideas?
Supreme Court Justice Elena Kagan.
Now you see why Raj is still single.
As herself.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Who do you want? Gal Gadot? Yeah, that's cool.
Oh!
Okay.
Done.
Done. Yeah, that would be nice. That's brilliant. No.
Sometimes you don't even
Why?
have to twirl the mustache to sound
Yeah,
It
exactly.
works out.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm married to her, but I'm trying to think like Margot Robbie.
Oh.
Yeah. All these tall, attractive. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. The spin-off, you guys.
Go ahead.
The real answer is we don't look that far ahead. We have always let the show grow organically, and we basically write one episode at a time. And in that process, the characters sort of grow on their own and let us know where they're headed, if that doesn't sound too weird.
Like shamanism.
Steve, I actually have a question for you. I'm trying to think in recent memory. Now, I played George, who is Sheldon's older brother, who was introduced in Young Sheldon.
Yeah.
And has there ever been a prequel on while the postquel is on? I mean, has that ever happened in the history of television?
I don't know if it's happened, but we did realize we've sort of opened this weird time machine where we can go back and forth now with characters from the past and put them in the future in Big Bang Theory. It's a neat thing. We're excited to explore more of that.
There's an episode we're writing now where we're going to meet grown-up Tam, who's his best friend on Young Sheldon, and we're going to learn what happened to them and why Sheldon has never mentioned Tam in the 11 years he's been on Big Bang.
That's really cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's going to be a bit of a mystery.
That's cool.
It's an interesting situation.
Jeremy, I think the answer is no. That there hasn't been 2 TV shows that depict a character at different stages in their life on at the same time.
But there is Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead.
There's
which is
what?
Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead is similar, right?
There's Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, but they weren't on at the same time.
Right. And MASH and Trapper John.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Whoa. A little
They are either
interesting young
stunned
Fester.
or bored.
on the other.
It's hard to tell. I count on that.
It was really funny for me playing George because I did my research by watching young Sheldon and basically mimicking Montana's accent. I mean, I had 20 episodes to study.
I remember when we first met you and were talking to you about playing, you had said your kids only knew young Sheldon, that they didn't even know there was a show called Big Bang Theory. So I guess my question is, why is that?
And what kind of a horrible father are you?
Yeah,
Well, because they're 9
Gary?
and they
'Cause I
watch
don't.
Young Sheldon, and I explained to them that I was working on the original Young Sheldon, and they were like, what? No, Young Sheldon's the original. And I went, no, I'm working on the OG Young Sheldon. It's called Big Bang. And they were like, what's that? And I was like, wow, you guys have like 15 seasons of a show to check out.
You know, there is a book example of that from literature that simultaneously Clifford the Big Red Dog and Clifford the Small Red Puppy were both coming out. It's true.
What would Clifford's alternate D&D name be?
No, Clifford remains Clifford.
Okay, sorry. Sorry about that. Sorry, Eric.
Wait, what?
Did you say make out or hang
You say
out?
make
No,
out?
hang out.
Oh,
Do
okay.
we like?
'Cause it's a
do
different
we ever,
answer to both
Do we ever
questions.
act like our characters? No. No, we really don't talk about work a lot if we are together outside of, not the two of us, but all of us. We talk about other things. you
Although
know.
there have been times when Simon and Kunal have hung out together, and they will start busting on each other in ways that we've incorporated into the show.
He is so irritating, that guy. You don't understand, like, he does not leave me alone. Like, I'll walk into the makeup room, and as soon as I walk in, he'll start busting on me.
He does your accent better than you do.
He does.
That should be the spin-off show, just the real-life Simon and Kunal.
He does. I think you guys wrote that scene of him making fun of my accent because we were all hanging out at a bar one night when he was just doing it incessantly.
Yes, that's
And
exactly
that's when we heard you do your American.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
do your Simon, yeah. Say something.
What?
Like when you pretend to be, you know.
Oh, like speaking an American accent?
Yes.
But then Simon does Kunal doing an American accent.
Oh,
so
yeah.
There's layers to it.
So irritating. So irritating.
We don't know. I mean, we love writing these stories, and we've been doing the show for, this is the 12th year. It's an incredible journey, and I think somebody tells us when the show ends. I don't think, yeah.
I have vision board, if any of you guys have that. You put crystals in front of a board.
Vision board.
Anything you want to tell us about what's possibly coming up this season? Any spoiler alerts you can give us, being that we've camped out all night to see you guys?
Well, we're only about 4 episodes in right now, so we're taking suggestions. We've got the 10 episode we're writing now. I think the premiere episode coming back, we're going to see Sheldon and Amy on their honeymoon.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
Where do they? Well, you go.
Do I have to wear a negligee?
it's almost all negligee.
It's
a
to
lot.
wear a negligee.
You know,
It's really going to be the hardest. We're pushing the bounds of CBS, I think, for this episode.
You know, the actors only get to see the script. We only get to see the script the night before we start on August 15th. On August 14th, we'll get the script.
And on a week-to-week basis, we get it the night before we start the next
We're
episode.
taping as the script gets emailed to us.
Yep.
I think Amy should just wear the wedding dress all of season 12. Everywhere she goes. the
Maybe
supermarket-
without the hoop under it so that I can actually sit
Yeah,
down
could you
in
sit?
between
You couldn't
takes.
sit in that dress, could you?
Like a 1950s peignoir set.
So they would so when we did that episode, I would delicately hike up the side of the dress and they would shove a stool, like a milking stool, so that I could perch with the dress around it. That's how
Did you have to ride a seahorse as Aquaman for 12 hours? Because I couldn't even...
Anything else coming up?
Kathy Bates and Teller are going to return
Oh, that's
as
Really?
Mr. and Mrs. Fowler.
Oh, that's great.
This is why I come to Comic-Con,
Yeah.
to learn
Yeah,
things
exactly.
about what my job's going to look like.
That's cool.
You know, I think one of the neat things about our show in general, you know, no matter what our background is or our personal, you know, proclivities, each of our characters has a very distinctive look and kind of personality through our clothing. So you can kind of describe, I mean, I think that Kaylee's the only one who actually gets to wear like real people clothes. But the rest of us kind of have a very specific kind of costume, as it were, that, you know, we wear variations of that reflects differences in us. But it was interesting when the subject came up of wedding dresses, because obviously it's not like there was going to be a mini dress, you know, option. But I definitely thought about, you know, how would Amy want to present herself, considering that she dresses modestly. So I really kind of think of it like that. What's an appropriate kind of dress for that character? And I think we really struck, you know, kind of a nice balance. I actually would have been fine showing a little bit more of my shape, but we were apparently the little capelet, which was actually 2 capelets. The capelets went over so well with our writers, and it was decided that we would keep them. But I think when I you know was trying on dresses, and when we had the episode, you know, for example, where I was trying on dresses, it was really fun to see what Amy would look like in a strapless dress. I mean, I don't wear strapless dresses, but I thought it was great to show that, you know, these are things that Penny and Bernadette also would choose for her to try on. So it felt really organic, and honestly, it was nice, and it was fun, and it was enjoyable to let Amy feel pretty as I got to feel pretty, you know, just trying those things on. And that felt really good, but I really like that what we settled on, meaning what we arrived at, was, I think, you know, really the equivalent of Amy's clothing, but given her personality, what she would wear. I think that, you know, I think that would really be up to our writers to decide kind of how Amy and Sheldon would go about raising a child. I think there'd probably be, you know, a lot of potential for conversations about child development, which both Amy and Sheldon would, you know, be versed in. So I have no particular preference, honestly. And I think that, you know, with a particular nod to Maria and to the question towards Maria, I think, you know, a lot of the things that Bernadette has gone through, I identify with so strongly as well. And I think that's something really special. You know, the emphasis of our show tends to be, you know, very guy-centered, and especially in its origins, and before Melissarauch and I were brought on in the 4th season, or the end of the 3rd. So I think there's still so much there, and I think there's so many different ways that women, you know, can parent. And just as we show Bernadette and Amy as 2 very different kinds of scientists, we might have 2 very different kinds of parenting styles. So I would really defer and do whatever they tell me to do. That's my job.
And I can tell you that we do know that Amy and Sheldon ultimately have children, because it was revealed in the final line of season 1 of Young Sheldon.
Yeah, Jim Parsons texted me. He's like, "Oh my gosh, listen what I just read."
But as far as will that happen on Big Bang Theory, we have no idea.
Cool. Do we have any more questions?
Oh, we have to wrap up? Okay.
Hey, but let's just thank our stage manager back there who wrangled everybody. Let's thank everybody up here. Special thanks to our cast who came out.
Can I just say something? We wanted to say to you guys, thank you so much. I really wish there were enough words that we could say that would convey how much you mean to us. There really aren't. This show only keeps going because of you. And I swear to you when I say that, we love you guys so much. You're everything to us. And it's only because of you we wake up and we come to work and we love doing what we do. I know Comic-Con is insane, and you guys stand in lines and you brave the heat, and you still come out here, and that warms our heart in a way that we maybe are not able to convey in words. But only to say one thing, that we love you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mayim, Kunal, Steve. No.